Every sewing room has to have a closet, in my opinion anyway. And so I can store fabric on here that I've just pressed, store it on hangers if I want to. It keeps it clean in here. I can also store garments in here that I'm currently sewing. Because I want to take up and use up every ounce of space that I have in my sewing room, below my closet I actually have some storage drawers. These are clear storage drawers, so I can store whatever I want to in them and get into the drawers pretty easily. This one has ribbon. This one has buttons, little trinkets, and other things in it. And I have everything labeled so it's easy to get to. My stack of drawers over here has quilt binding, Velcro, bias tape, any type of those things there. Right next to my closet, I have my cutting table. Right now it has my large cutting mat on it. If I don't need that, I can put it up against the wall across the room. The other thing I have on my cutting table is baskets here at the end. And I can put pins in these, scissors, fabric, things that I'm currently sewing on, and I don't have to have them cluttering up my cutting table. Below my cutting table, I take advantage of as much space as I have, and so I have totes and drawers where I store things. These 3 totes have embroidery thread. I have scissors, zippers, shoulder pads, patterns, tracing paper, my light box hidden here. Then I have some totes back here of some projects that I'm working on at the moment and going to be working on in the next few months. Underneath my cutting table on this side, I have my trash can. Then I also have a large trash can for storing fabric scraps. As I'm stitching or cutting, I can just throw them in there. I have tracing paper. I have more totes here where I store some class projects and some other projects I'm working on. Then I have totes here where I can store needles and different little things that have little compartments to them. Right next to my cutting table, I actually have another table. This table is right to the back of my computer. It has these drawers that have things that I use frequently when I'm sitting and working at my computer. I have my printer. I have another little tote that I can just toss papers or whatever into it as I'm working on it. Down below, I have a tote with my extra computer supplies that I'm using frequently. Down below that, I also have a tote where I keep a lot of new products and samples. I continually get in new thread or new notions and try those out to see if they're any better than what I've been using in the past. So I keep those handy so I'm ready to use those. Extra paper, extra totes that I haven't used yet, and this right here is my step stool. It comes in handy in so many things that are too high for me to reach in my sewing room. Above the table where I keep my printer is actually where I keep all my sewing thread, and I have it protected again by another green cover. This cover works a little bit differently. When plan A doesn't work, you move on to plan B, so this is plan B. What I can do is I can lift this cover, and there are a little couple of hooks on there. I can lift it and hook it up to these hooks that are in the ceiling. Lift that up, and I have all my thread that I'm going to be using stored in there. I store it on racks, organize it by color themes, and it's protected from the light when I have my cover down, and it also protects it from dust. So it keeps it well protected, but I can yet easily get to it. When I'm done with it, I can just lower my cover. And my thread is neat and organized and protected. Right next to my thread and my printer is my computer table here. I have my computer sitting on it, along with all my cords, hard drive, whatever I need. I have paperwork, mail that I get. It's filed here before it eventually becomes filed somewhere else. And I have little organizers that I try to keep around so I can put everything in my organizers instead of having it sitting out on the table. Then I have another table right next to my computer table, and this is a table that just moves around a lot. Right now I have my laptop computer on it, but I will move it around if I'm quilting, if I'm working on another project, a different area of my sewing room, I can move it around wherever I need it to. The other thing that I have right by my computer is a blank wall. I have all my little notes and things that I want to remember but I don't need right at the moment and I need to file away. I don't want a bulletin board, I don't want a cork board, I don't want a magnetic board, I want a blank wall. Then I can take all my post-it notes and store it up there and it's right where I need it. I also have my sewing room sign that I made a long time ago up right over here, and then of course a calendar right where I need it. Right next to my computer, I have my embroidery machine set up here. Then I have my sewing machine set up here, which this machine also does embroidery, but right now I have it set up to sew. And this is the normal way that I have my sewing machine set up. I have a long 6-foot table. I can sew at the same time I'm embroidering a design, and they're right next together so I can keep an eye on both things that I'm doing. The other thing I have on this table is a couple little organizers back here. And I keep all my machine feet and scissors and things on those. Let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see those. I have this organizer here that I keep machine feet, bobbins, scissors, rippers, gotta have those. Then I have this organizer also where I keep markers, pliers, pins, NG thread spool. I can put everything in there and not have to have it sitting out on my table in the way. Let me zoom back out here. So I have everything there on my 6-foot table. I also have a thread rack here, and this holds my bobbins that have embroidery thread on them. It also holds my embroidery thread bobbins and some embroidery threads that I use commonly or use a lot, frequently, a couple times a week, at least once a week. So I have those out. I can also store spools of thread on there for thread that I'm using, and I don't have to have it cluttering up my table. Then also back behind this table, I have another table that holds my serger. My serger's over here, so it's easy to get to, and yet I still have room on this table to hold all my project that I'm working on. I can work on my serger there, and I have extra table space if I need it for any larger projects that I'm working on. Thanks for taking a peek into my sewing room. I hope you enjoyed seeing it just as much as I enjoyed showing it to you. Over the next few episodes, I'm going to show you some of the aspects of my sewing room in detail. I'd like to show you how I made my fabric bookcase covers, how I store all my thread, and why I keep all my projects the way I do. Hopefully you'll be able to gain some ideas from the things I'm able to show you from my sewing room. So be sure not to miss a single episode. I sure wouldn't want to. I'll see you then.